Today we are going to be breaking down one of my personal favorite matches of all time, and that is from 2 years ago at AEW Dynasty, Bryan Danielson versus Will Ospreay. This match was absolutely perfection at its finest. Some people have it as their number one favorite match of all time. Some people for sure have it in their top 5, otherwise their top 10. This match, from start to finish, was a chef's kiss. It was perfection. If you guys are new here, I'm Jarrah Spectre, aka the Spectre, Jaden Mercer, inside of the wrestling ring. This is the Spectreverse, and if you guys love wrestling content, please hit that subscribe button and turn on that bell for notifications. We talk pro wrestling on a weekly basis here, and we would love to have you guys stick around. Without further ado, allow me to introduce you all to film study. We are going to start at the very, very beginning. Before we even jump into it, though, I have to throw this out there. All rights to the videos, the audio, all of it goes to All Elite Wrestling. The original video will be down in the description below, so please feel free to check that out. Without further ado, let's go ahead and let's hop right into this. So both men start with a stare off. The crowd is, at this point, they're going ballistic. Actually, I'm going to unmute this for a second. I want you guys to hear this.
Both these men live, breathe pro wrestling.
When you hear a crowd erupt like that for the bell ringing, you should know for a fact that you are in for an absolute banger. And if they're not going ballistic for the bell ringing, I mean, then something's clearly not right. But either way, let's go ahead and let's continue on. This is a very, very long match. It's about 35 minutes. But we are going to break this bad boy down bit by bit, the only way that we know how to. So, both men circling in the ring. Very much just, you can see they're always aligned. If you ever go to wrestling school, you know that anytime they're circling, they always got to stay right next to each other. So you see, we're actually going to go back here a little bit. So Danielson starting to move this way. Will slowly lurks this way. You never want to get too close or too far away from your opponent, no matter what. So, I mean, it's very, very hard to see, but you can see they are doing a quick little test of strength. Will then immediately pops open the left arm and tries to go for a go behind. Danielson immediately takes back over right into a front face, and then Will tries to maneuver out of it right back to the front face. And this is where Danielson then uses his amateur background. Because obviously anybody that has done amateur wrestling before, they are very, very familiar as to what this position is. I personally have not, but I have watched wrestling. I know what this is. He's staying tight, which is good. He is trying to maintain control. And now he's got his left arm. Anytime you watch pro wrestling, always take a look at what side of the body that is being targeted. Whether it's during heat, whether it's during the shine, whether it's during chain wrestling. They will always, 90% of the time, be using the left. I think down in Mexico, they use the right side. But other than that, you will always see the left-hand side being used. So, see Danielson still staying tight to Will Ospreay here, but yet he's got his left on his left. And they're just literally just fighting for control at this point. Danielson tries to sweep around, tries to get into a front face lock, which he does for a quick second. Will then, you see he grabs left arm once again. He slides underneath. Danielson, being the pro that he is, staying nice and loose, nice and limb, so that Will can also maneuver around. Now Will grabs the quick front face. Danielson, being the pro, immediately tries to go back here just for a quick second. He immediately tries to swing out of this. You see, He gets just off the mat, just enough to like try and throw his hips to the right. But Ospreay, being the athlete that he is, swims right over the top. This is just chain wrestling 101. This is all this is. None of this stuff is called in the back. It's just go with the flow. Will keeps a good chin lock, or a front face, excuse me. And then this is where Danielson backs him to the rope. This is just a feeling out process. Like, you hear it all the time in a scenario. Like, if you go back and watch Jim Ross, he'll always be like, oh, it's a feeling out process. Same on WWE television nowadays. The feeling out process. Danielson pats him off. Normally, that would either be in a heel versus babyface scenario. That could either be the cocky heel that does the pat. Sometimes it could be the babyface who doesn't attack right away, but then the heel eventually gets back on. But in a situation like this, where the crowd knows the caliber wrestlers of Danielson and Ospreay, both men are treated as babyfaces in this match, at least for the time being. So they're kind of circling around. They're kind of really just taking in this moment right here, which, I mean, when you got the crowd in the palm of your hands just by doing nothing, you know you're going to be in for a very, very fun and memorable match. So now they go for a lockup. Very, very textbook lockup. Both men have their left leg forward. Very textbook. Nice collar elbow. Very quick, though. See how they're staying nice and tight. Very proper. Not too close, not too tight. Danielson immediately pops off that arm to take a head. And even in such a quick motion, because I want to play this for you guys in real time. So, go for the lockup. Watch how quick this looks. Right? Like, that is very, very quick. But when you got a tenured guy who is as good as a chain wrestler as Danielson, immediately pops this off. He's already in a textbook headlock position. Granted, he doesn't have his arms locked because he knows he's going for that takeover right away. But even if they wanted to milk this for a second, he would have his arms gripped like this. And he's already got his left foot back, right's forward. And then as soon as he's ready for the takeover, he releases his hand. The right comes forward. Excuse me, that's his left. Very hard to tell from the mirror, but his left comes forward, his right goes down, the right hand follows with the left, excuse me, guys. The right leg comes down, right arm comes down. Ospreay is just going to float right over the top, the nice shift of the hips, and now they're just milking this. Ospreay stays nice and tight, trying to get him off of him. That's why anytime you see in that headlock takeover position and you see people push up against the opponent's face, showing that you're trying to get them off. You're not actually like trying to shove like them as hard as you can, but that's the illusion. You're trying to get them off of that headlock. And even though they're kind of just staying still right now, Will is going to eventually then pop over like this. Doesn't have both shoulders down. Wraps around for a nice scissors, which he does have the right placement of the feet as well. Danielson, so quick and so smooth. Rolls right over. He tries to get out. But then now he's just following with his momentum. He's going to flip over. So now Danielson has technically both shoulders on the mat. So now this could technically be considered a pin. I apologize for the stuttering over my words. It's been a very long day. But now technically this is a pin. So what does he do? He bridges. Bridges right out. And while doing so, as he rolls over, he maintains leg control now. He's got both of his legs locked. He keeps them there. Ospreay knows at this point, he's like, oh crap, how am I going to get out of this? Danielson then goes for the surfboard. I believe that's what it's called, surfboard, if I remember correctly. very off with some of the names of my moves here. But then Will, being the athlete that he is once again, immediately pops over, quick 1 out, and another stalemate. Very simple chain wrestling. Nothing too crazy. Obviously, the craziness is going to come here in a little bit. Another very slow pace. Now it looks like Bryan Danielson's calling for that test of strength. So Will, being the pro that he is, locks it in. Go for the other. So very textbook test of strength. Nothing new that we've seen here. Both men trying to shove each other down. And you see right here, you'll see it here in a second. There it is. They lock legs. Now they're trying to push each other down, which you're going to see here in a second. Obviously, we all have seen any sort of scenario in that test of strength where the stronger guy will try to push the smaller guy down to get his shoulders on the mat. And that's where you get your 1-2 out, 1-2 out, 1-2 bridge spot right up into, if you're going against a luchador, that's where you already have that hand control. This is where you can start doing your cool springboard shine, stuff like that. So really doing the test of strength here. Will then keeps arm control, but being the athlete that he is, he still hangs on to both, which is actually very hard to do. But then locks in that knuckle grip. Danielson then tries to roll right out of it, and now he's got control. He kicks that leg. You see that? He kicks the arm down with his left. He always uses his left. Pops that down. Immediately takes wrist control right into a top wrist, which immediately does a nice little float over arm drag, and now he maintains that top wrist. And now he's really this is just Danielson at his finest. And Will, now he knows what Danielson's trying to do. He's trying to target that arm. So what does he do? Soon as he's about to set that bad boy down, like we've seen on the mat, I believe Penta does it a lot. Bruiserweight Pete Dunne does it a lot, where he stomped the arm. Ospreay then rolls over right into the kip up. And then actually he does the little swing over. Typically there, you could see him just kind of roll underneath and then lock in his own wrist lock. But he swings over to cut off both of the hands of Danielson. So one more time. Because that momentum is actually what allows him to knock that down. Because he's using his leg as enough momentum to pop the arm down from Danielson, holding on to it with both. So poof. Ospreay then immediately takes over a head, and now standard headlock. But this, you can tell right here, this is why it kind of seemed a little skeptical at first. So they're lined up here. Anytime you're in wrestling school, your goal is to try to be as in line with the ropes as possible. You always want to try and stay in that center. So he pops that down. He grabs the head. But you see where his feet are lined up? The only places you can really go are the posts. And obviously they're not going for that quite yet. So Danielson trying to maneuver Ospreay around. Ospreay also trying to maneuver. But then you know that they aren't going to go for the throwing into the ropes quite yet. So then Ospreay gives a headlock takeover on himself. All of this is being called out there. I guarantee none of this stuff is called. When you learn proper pro wrestling, all of the major spots are called. It's not the little in-betweens here and there. So Danielson takes the headlock takeover. Now immediately does the same thing. He gets the scissors on Ospreay. Ospreay kicks out for another stalemate. But this is what makes Danielson Danielson. Ospreay has become one of the better chain wrestlers over the past couple of years. So people are literally just eating this up as it's happening. And this is still very much the feeling out process. This feeling out process can go anywhere from 30 seconds to, I would say, 5 minutes if they really wanted to. Obviously, they got the time to do it, but this is how it's properly done. So they go for another nice headlock. Excuse me. Now they go for another nice lockup. Still very textbook. Danielson, you see how he clutches his hands like that? Nice and tight. Another headlock takeover. Ospreay still staying tight to him. You don't want to be too loose in that. Another palm strike. And this is just wrenching for control. Danielson now has Ospreay's arm. He's trying to lock it in with his leg. And he's doing those palm strikes. It's not, you can't get disqualified for an open palm. You can get disqualified for a closed fist. But that palm, that's enough to knock somebody just off their groove a little bit so that you can maintain your control. He finally gets that arm locked in. He does it again. And now he's just, at this point, now he's just laying on. You see that? Then he goes right back to the head. More squeezing. Now the get up. They stay nice and tight. And watch how they rotate. See how they rotated like that? Very much just textbook. Danielson's up first. You almost want to, how the way I was taught, treat it like a TP. You guys are both down here. Now you both have to push your momentum up against each other to get up. Ospreay backs him into the rope. Good push off. Nice drop down. It looks like on TV they're going 1,000,000 miles an hour, but this is half speed. They are very much going half speed. Nice leapfrog by Ospreay. Roll over. Danielson flips him up. Goes for the kick. Nothing. This is I would say this is honestly probably the first spot that was called in the match. So we're going to go back here to the takeover. Comes the get up. Backs him up. Push. Drop down. Leap. Roll back. Just kidding. Goes for the kick. Nope. Ospreay. Single leg. 1-0. Danielson goes for a kick. Block. Ospreay goes for a kick. Block. Duck. Behind. Elbow out. Chop. Whip you again. Little springboard action. Ospreay being the athlete that he is. I don't know how the fuck. I wish I could do stuff that Ospreay can do. But obviously, this is what makes Ospreay special. Backflip. Catch. Go for the label. Ospreay immediately rolls through. This is, like I said, this is the first spot that's being called. So this is where the brainchild of Ospreay and Danielson working together comes into play. Oh yeah, I'll go for the label. Roll through. I'll go for my kicks. Nope. Nope. And stale. Look at that. See that? The crowd immediately up on their feet because now you take what was really good chain wrestling and now you build. This was the first big, holy shit, it's about to go down spot of the match. And the crowd is on their feet for it. Very much a nice little slow stalemate here. Let the men breathe. They know they got a long ways to go yet. And literally the crowd is in the palm of their hands. They can literally do anything at this point, and it would be pure gold. They're just very much taking their time. Anytime you watch a match that goes 20 plus, just watch how they take their time. Almost looks like they're going right back to where they were. Goes for another test of strength. That was actually really cool. So, Ospreay grabs the right of Danielson with his left and then immediately rolls down and hooks the left. Like I said, left is very key. Hooks the left rolls back up, and now he's got leg control. Kicks Danielson down right into some leg heat. And obviously, like, this angle looks crazy. It looks very painful. It's not. Him keeping the bicep tight with his foot in there is to avoid it from actually, popping out. This is just to keep it tight. See how he's barely moving it? Ever since he locked that in, he has not moved that arm. Now he keeps it controlled. Danielson rolls over, gets back up on his feet. Now they're just standing there. There's the nice little flip off. Ospreay didn't like that. There's the first chop. From Ospreay, I should say. Now this is leading into the first little bit of shine that we're going to see in this match. Danielson very much just walking it off, but now we're going to exchange some blows. Danielson then immediately drops down for the left leg, takes him down. Now he's got control. He rolls him over. Very much a anything you can do, I can do better story of this match. And he's just wrenching it. He's not actually doing anything. He's just controlling the leg. And then immediately reaches over. He hooks the nose. And he's just wrenching. Yep. And then right into one of those, almost like a chin lock. I forget the actual name of the hold. But left goes over the top. The right hooks underneath. You hold right here. All you got to do is give it a little twist for it to actually hurt. Very rarely will you see it actually get twisted from side to side. You're going to see it go up like this, but you're not going to see it go this way. This way is how people actually get hurt. So they're just milking that hold. Cuts to the Don Callis and commentary. He's still got that hold in. Ospreay breaks it by reaching over the top. Big forearm. Big chop. Danielson immediately goes right back to the hold. Ospreay trying to get him off. He does the same thing. Nope, right back to it again. He's just milking it. Danielson trying to be a little aggressive with it to show that intensity. Ospreay then rolls him over the top, but Danielson does not break the hold. Now, the story of this is that Ospreay is using energy to try and get out of this, which is going to affect his stamina long term. At least that's what they're trying to portray on television. Nice elbow by Danielson. Excuse me, nice knee by Danielson. Come on now. What am I doing? Like I said, obviously I'm going to botch a lot of these, calls. But I just want to show you guys what's going on. So, that knee, it looks like it hurts, but see how his knee is actually way out here? He is hitting him with the meat of his quad. And it's definitely the outer part, if you look carefully. So, on TV and in person, it looks like he's drilling him right in the face. He's hitting him with that outer quad meat, which is honestly a very soft spot, unless you've been doing sissy squats for days before you actually go out there, which I highly doubt anybody be doing, because one, why the fuck would you do that before a match? First and foremost. Second of all, sissy squats suck. So, while maintaining that hold, Danielson snapmares him over the top. Ospreay, being the athlete that he is, lands on his feet. Right for a nice drop kick. You see the placement of that drop kick? We're going to go back here. Here comes the snapmare flip. Poof. And Danielson, being the pro that he is. Again, I got to go back here just a wee little bit. We're going to go slow motion here. He's got his hand up. He's protecting himself. Last thing you want to do is not put your hands up and you get popped right in the fucking mouth and now you're missing teeth or you're bleeding. Puts his hand up to be safe. At the very last second, Ospreay, poof. And it looks like from the snap that he's killing him. I'm sure it didn't feel pleasant by any stretch of the imagination, but just this enough can save you teeth and medical bills. So now Ospreay's back on the offense. Whips Danielson, reverse whip. Very textbook how they're hitting the ropes as well. Here comes the big Hurricanrana. Good take by Danielson. And the crowd is eating it up. This is just traditional Will Ospreay. Danielson shaking it off a little bit. He maintains that control of his head, telling him to position over to where I need you to be. And there's a strike. Textbook strike. Textbook kick. He's hitting him right here. You're never really going to see much kicking to the face. It's always going to be to the neck. Gets him up. Big Euro. Very safe. Both men know how to protect themselves and protect each other. Now this is just simple chop. Simple shine. Walking and talking. It's opening yourself up for what the person on offense can give you. Watch carefully. We're going to go back here for a second. So, chop, take it. You don't want to stay stationary. You want to constantly be moving around the ring. He moves a little bit. Danielson being hunched over is being like, okay, now go for the back or go for a head or go for something. So, back elbow to the neck. Back up to another chop. Danielson didn't like that. Ospreay says, bring it on, if that's the case. Here we go. Which, granted, I will be the first to say, I'm not huge on the, oh, hit me. If you want it so bad, hit me. Like, sometimes it's great, but sometimes it can be a little too much. Not saying it's bad here, but I'm just saying as far as what we see on a consistent basis. No selling the and that's why I appreciate Ospreay. You know, he says, bring it on, chops, and then immediately falls. Danielson is now on the attack. Textbook Euros. He's hitting him right in the meat of the chest. Right into the kicks. And even if you go back and you ever watch old Daniel Bryan matches or old Bryan Danielson matches, watch how Will Ospreay takes these kicks. See how he immediately brings his arms in and he gets all nice and tight? Because the last thing you want to do is stay loose when taking a hard kick, because you know some people are going to lay their shit in. And you have to be ready for that. So if you get nice and tight, all of the absorption is going to stay where you are staying tight. If you stay loose and he kicks him as hard as he can, that shit is going to rattle throughout your entire body, and that's how you get nerve damage. Stay nice and tight no matter what. Just consistent. All right, here, hit the ropes. Swing, hang on. Float over. Eat the rope. Big boot. Falls to the outside. Stand to the crowd. This is simple. Now people are, like you see the fans, now they're on their feet. Take a little sip of my energy drink. Crowd's going nuts. They want to see it. And then this is just vintage Will Ospreay here. Load over the top. Get the crowd into it. Now he's going to let him sell a little bit. Show the effects of the match thus far. We are just about 10 minutes into this. So, obviously, they still got a long ways to go. Gets him back in the ring. Here comes the aerial attack. Getting the crowd more into it. Here comes a nice springboard. Leaps. And if you ever watch the majority of guys who do springboards, they always do it out of the corners. The reason that is it's a lot harder to do a springboard in the middle where there's not enough support versus by the corners where there's plenty of support. And it's a lot tighter here versus out here. A good springboard, but here comes Danielson. Lays the kick in on the gut. That's your cutoff. That's your first initial cutoff. Ospreay doing a good job selling the ribs. Ref doing a good job being on top of it right away, just in case something were to happen. And now Danielson taken right back over. And look at that. He's immediately targeting the gut. That is how you properly do quote-unquote heat. Danielson's not technically the heel, but that's how you do heat. Cut the babyface or whoever's in control down with a move, and whatever move that you calculate with, now you have to target. Because that's going to be seen as weak or vulnerable. It's the ropes. Boom, kitchen sink. Very textbook take, textbook give. See how he follows through. You don't want to meet him way out here. You want to meet him right as he's about to come back around. Ospreay is in the perfect position to take it. And he takes a good flip bump right here. Now he's immediately seated, showing the crowd what hurts. Danielson immediately follows it up with a kick to the back. Those suck. There's not an easy way to do it. Nice little kick out. But yeah, just here's the little instant replay. Poof, right to the gut. Very, very well orchestrated. Well done. And now Danielson is just doing simple back/gut heat. Not actually drilling his knee into him. Takes his left leg. Floats over. And now he's setting up for I don't even know what kind of hold that's called. But you know, he's just trying to wrench on the legs of Will Ospreay because he knows how dangerous they actually can be. Although, go back here. Okay, we were right here. Accidentally hit the wrong button and it took me completely out of it. My apologies there. But anyways, back to this. So, we're going to eventually get back here. So, gives two knees, grabs the leg, floats over, right back down, and locks in the legs. Now, see how he slipped that right leg of his around here? That's what's going to cause the tension. As soon as he wrenches his leg back a little bit, that's what's going to cause all the tension. You see, he's trying to do that while pushing on his right leg. It's a nice leg lock right there. And Danielson, being the technician that he is, immediately flips over because now he knows he has full control and Ospreay has nowhere to go. Ospreay at least doing a good job of trying to fight off with his hands. But boom, right back to the gut. And now that opens up his forearm. Bang. Good bump. Everything has to be a full flat back, but when you're on the ground and you're getting pounded, you still got to take bumps. Boom. Bang. Boom. Bang. Bang. This is just Danielson being the pro that he is, and now he immediately wrenches around, and here we go. Now he's in a pretzel. Now, this may seem like it hurts, but when done properly, it's just the illusion of it hurting, and then Ospreay rolls back over to break the hold. This is just Danielson heat at its finest. Danielson now is just stalking his prey. Maintains control by getting him up. And now he's just going to unleash more punishment. Boom. Chop. Oh, but Ospreay showing fire. Boom. Another one. Keep showing that fire. Last thing you want to do in the babyface scenario, which I would say as of right now would be Will Ospreay, is the last thing you want to do is be in these holds and you break out of them, but then you show no fire on the get up. You always want to show some sort of fire that you're still fighting back no matter what. Doing a good job selling. Boom. That one rattled him a little bit. Oh, you kind of see that little bit of he's about to wind up, but Danielson immediately is, at this point, all he's doing is just listening to the crowd. And although they want to see that next part of it, but he immediately grabs him. He's like, nope, we're not going there yet. We're going to slow him back down. Boom. More gut punches. Right into the kicks. Now, nice little textbook reverse whip. Now, this is vintage Bryan Danielson. Right here comes the moonsault over the top. I don't like, as if we go back and watch this carefully, the reverse whip, I don't like how much Will fouled in. He probably could have stayed back just a little bit as Danielson is getting up there. I know a lot of people have that tendency anytime they were to wrestle Danielson that they would get too close. And it's like, okay, but if we want to make this a little more realistic, I'm not saying any of this is bad by any stretch of the imagination, but if I were Will, I would have been right here. Now, as soon as Danielson's here, this is where you start to jog towards him. So that as he's going for that flip, you're not right there. I mean, it still worked. And then here comes Danielson. Duck the line. Oh, that was supposed to be vintage Danielson where he hits him with the line, but here comes Ospreay. Another springboard right into his kick. It was a great little fall spot. Loved it. Nice little double down. Both men are starting to feel it now. Both men slow on the get up, which is good. This is what the double down's for. It's the chance to breathe. They've done a lot within these, 13 plus minutes, and they still got a ways to go. Danielson still taking his time, catching his breath. Will Ospreay up. Here comes Ospreay, big boot. Whips him out. Gonna go for that springboard again. This time he hits it. Phenomenal forearm. 1, 2. I don't like anytime someone is to cover on a pin the way that Ospreay did here. See how he just kind of like sticks his leg over and pulls it back. I feel like that should always be saved towards the end of the match versus kind of in the middle. We're not even at the halfway point. So if he hits that phenomenal forearm, as Danielson's still on the ground after that bump, I would immediately just hook the right leg and wrench it back for that pin, not the, sit on his face, 1, 2, kick. I mean, it works fine, but that's just my personal preference. I would always want to save those dire pins towards the latter half of the match, not halfway through. So he hooks. Danielson hangs on, and now this is vintage Ospreay kicks. And it's like, it looks like they are killer because now Danielson doesn't have his hands up, but Ospreay's just tapping. It's just taps. I mean, granted, they're not the nicest taps in the world, but that's what this is. Danielson grabs the leg. Boom, chop. The big strike fest. But Danielson's doing a very good job. Very nice, safe strikes. Here comes the flip over vintage Will Ospreay. Boom, Enzy. Now Danielson's out to the outside. Good sell. Ospreay goes up. Being the aerialist that he is. Gets his balance. And hits the spiral tap. My God. Anytime I watch Will Ospreay or even guys like Pac do the black arrow, the spiral tap, Ricochet with the 630, you're just like, God damn. How the fuck do you do that? Like, I mean, let's slow motion this. Like me, I can at least do like the whisper in the wind part. Right? But then he just keeps going. I wish I was that talented to do that. And that was a good take by Danielson, too. He did his best to protect Will Ospreay. Anyone that takes a dive, your main goal is to protect the one doing the dive. Danielson's at least there to catch him, But Ospreay, being the acrobat that he is, lands it in the perfect landing zone and rolls through right back on his feet. Beautifully, beautifully done. And right back to the cell. Not that he's immediately 0 to hero, right back to the cell. Instant replay once again of that spiral tap. He's up. Boom. Then right back down. Obviously, they're not going to show that part. Ospreay then immediately gets right back on the attack after they got some time to breathe. Jumps over. Phenomenal forearm to the back of the neck. The neck being the story of Bryan Danielson and why he had to retire in the first place. Now this is where the story and the tendered history of both these guys is starting to come into play. Ospreay calls for the hidden blade. He wants it. Danielson, with the reversal of just kicking the arm, very simple. And you see how when he even kicked it, he barely grazed it. It was just enough to like kind of hit his tricep. Very, very slowly here. See that? Like he almost like stops right here. Just enough to nick it. Because that would suck. Then Danielson follows it up by targeting that arm again. Now, the difference between, you know how I said in the beginning, anytime you're watching wrestling, you always want to kind of keep an eye on which side of the body they're working. Because he's targeting the right, the only reason he's doing that is because he knows for a fact Will Ospreay, when he does the hidden blade, he always does it with his right. So this is the exception to the rule. When if you're targeting a limb or a body part, this is the exception where it's like, okay, it wouldn't make sense for me to target his left arm if he uses his right. I need to target the one that he uses. And Danielson goes behind. Got him locked tight here. Pops the hips. Will Ospreay tucks the chin. Nice bridging suplex. 1, 2, out. But he still hangs on. Still maintains that control. And now he's got it locked in for his Blackpool Combat Club elbows, which is now known as the Death Rider elbows. But I mean, such a cool spot. And honestly, if you're looking at when he's doing these, just let this play one more time. 1, 2, and he kicks, rolls out. And as he flips over, reaches that left over. And now just watch where he places the elbow here. He is hitting him with the meat of his tricep. Big up, because you got to make it look big. When he comes down, he's just armpitting it. Literally all it is. Armpit, armpit. He's barely bringing his arm down. Very safe, yet very devastating when you're watching it in real time. Rolls him back down, right into the cat of mutilation. Nice little submission hold. This is what makes Bryan Danielson one of the greatest of all time. And you see how he's just barely hanging on, because you got to have enough leverage to just maintain that control while being in said position. And you also don't want to be wrenching up, because otherwise that's what hurts your opponent. Will Ospreay doing his best to try and maneuver to the ropes as best as he can. He just gets a toe on the rope, causing the break. Very, very nice spots. Danielson's starting to show that frustration, that visual frustration on his face. The crowd is eating this up. He goes right back to the arm. The arm that he uses for the hidden blade. Normally you would do this with the left, but because he needs to target that arm specifically, he's doing it there. Now, anybody that has been in wrestling school and knows how this works is he is not actually slamming. See how he lifts his leg up? That's what makes the sound. And all he's doing is just bringing it right down. Will Ospreay doing a good job at selling. Boom, right to the kicks. Right to a chop. Here comes the big drop kicks. Boom. Now those definitely will leave a mark. You watch this in slow motion. Danielson jumps up as high as he can, and I guarantee he probably lays that shit in. Boom. There's not a safe way to take that. That is just what makes pro wrestlers the grittiest motherfuckers on the planet. Boom. Hikes him up. Good job maintaining that balance. Wait for Will Ospreay to be nice and tight so that he's not all wobbly on the top rope. Nice and still, nice and tight. Here comes the Hurricane Rana. Ospreay then immediately hooks on. And here is the flip. Boom. I know a lot of people were giving Seth Rollins slack for trying this at Backlash over last weekend and saying, oh yeah, he's no Will Ospreay. Watch how he does this. And yes, I do believe a lot of the fans are right. There can only be one Will Ospreay. And Seth Rollins, it doesn't mean he's a bad wrestler. I think he's a fantastic wrestler. But there's only one Will Ospreay. So you see how he comes down. He's still holding Danielson because the last thing you want him to do is fall on his fucking head. And right as he's about to flip, and he knows he can rotate enough to get through, he lets go. Danielson already through. He lets go. Ospreay is still on the rope. And this is where the flip happens. Danielson obviously tucking his chin. That looks like that sucks. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. And here comes the flip by Ospreay. You let that sit and you let that marinate. It's always a very, very fun, very cool, holy shit spot. And now Ospreay saying he wants more. Kicks the arm. He missed. See how he did that there? Boom. Missed. But Danielson, being the pro that he is, with how quick Will Ospreay's kicks are, you could barely tell until I slow motioned it that he missed. It's just because he moved his head out of the way a little early. But yet, if he doesn't move his head out of the way, he is getting smoked right in the fucking temple. You see that? Misses. Oof. Good sell. Here comes the hook. Pop up. Sit out bomb. 1, 2, out. Very, very well done. Ospreay doing a good job still selling that arm. Ospreay then goes up. Gets his balance. Danielson cuts him off. Nice little sit out. Slows the momentum down, slows the pacing down as the crowd is already up. What does the heel do? Knock it right back down. Here comes Danielson. Ospreay still showing some fight with some elbows from the back with his left. Danielson hooks. More of those patent elbows that we just talked about a little bit ago. Ospreay reaching out, being like, don't let me get hooked. Don't let me get hooked. Too late. He's already hooked. Now, this is honestly probably the hardest part of what is about to happen. Because now you are praying for both competitors. You are praying that you guys can keep each other's balance. You got both arms hooked by both men here. Ospreay's got one leg up here, one down. Same with Danielson. One down, one up. Danielson up first. Once he is ready, he gives the Iggy to Will Ospreay here. Pop up. Good feet placement. Ready? Big reveal and dump. And that was as safe as a bump off the top that you can get. If Danielson would have really, if you watch carefully, if Danielson were to pop his hips up like he does for like a normal suplex, then, oh, excuse me. Like I said, if Danielson pops his hips up, Ospreay is going up and he is over rotating, and Lord knows what happens. You know what I mean? So we're here. And then all Danielson is doing is just guiding him down. Watch right here. He unhooks. This is to guide Ospreay down as safely as he possibly can while also being up there and letting Ospreay take his own bump. Ospreay, being smart, all he does is he just tries to be as limb and as flat as possible so that when he hits, he's still hitting. He hits a little high, but it's not nearly as bad because all of his momentum comes right back down. And now that he can float over on the big sell. And he immediately sells the neck. Great take. Big holy shit spot. And now you let that sit. You let the fans soak that shit in. Let the story of the match do its job. Danielson showing that urgency. Crawling over. Referee doing a good job actually double checking to make sure he's all right. 1, 2. Foot on the rope. Not even a kick out, just a foot on the rope. That's a great sell by Ospreay. And just knowing where you are. That's good ring IQ. Boom. See, watch right there. See how he lets go? He literally guides him down with the left. Just so that he knows he can take a safe bump. Danielson right back to targeting that right arm of Will Ospreay because he knows that hidden blade is still there. Big kicks, good selling. Not much totally of note here. And now he's in that seated position. He wants that head kick. At least kicks him down. This is just right back to heat. You can see the aggression on Danielson's face. Ospreay showing that fight. I do wish he would sell just a little bit more. Obviously, I love the aggression. I love the facial expressions. But show a little more agony while being angry. Agony and angry. Here's that big kick. Poof. There you go. Now he's even more mad. This is the part of understanding the sell. What moves do you really want to sell and what moves do you want to undersell? I personally wouldn't have undersold this moment, but here we are. And now he's just sitting there like, come on, please kick me. I wouldn't have done that. Slaps him right in the meat of the chest. Right, not the meat of the chest, the meat of the neck. Danielson immediately gets eaten with a big forearm. Once again, right in the meat of the neck again. And then Ospreay sells. On top of selling the arm, I would have also sold the chest because that's what's taken the most damage as of late. Yep, and now just kicking Danielson. None of those really hurt. Open palm strikes. Well, now those are close fists. That's where the ref does his job, pulls them off. Now they're both on the apron. Here comes their next big spot. Obviously, if you watch a Will Ospreay match, you're thinking Os Cutter. But obviously now he's teasing what he wants to do. Danielson hangs on by holding the rope. He's trying to fight out of it. And that part I don't quite understand. So he's got it hooked here. But what exactly does Danielson do to break the hold? Ospreay literally just lets go. Unless if we got like a big break from Danielson, maybe that would be different. But it didn't seem much like that. It just seemed like he kind of just let up. And then here comes the bouillaise on the apron. He catches. Boom. Elbow to the quad. There's the kick. He actually kind of connects with him a little bit, but it's very safe. Right into the os cutter on the apron. Always a killer spot. But, I mean, if you guys saw that take, we're actually going to go back here just a little bit. So, break. We'll get these kicks from Danielson here. Here's the catch. Elbow. Bang. I'll pause it here. Just watch the kick. Just connects with him just a little bit right off the top of the head. And then the os cutter. Up. Gauges how far he needs to jump. Reaches out. Hits the hook. Danielson doing a good job. Lays out with it. But at the same time, that's a very... People always say the apron is the hardest part of the ring. That is a fact. Absolutely a fact. That's why you rarely see anybody totally faceplant on the apron. That shit hurts. But just the move itself will have the same effect. And now the men sell. Crowd is eating this up. They've been eating this match up for almost 22 minutes. Look at them. Grown-ass men. You know what I mean? This is what peak wrestling looks like. Take a sip of my energy drink. Talking to the ref. Ospreay calls for the hidden blade. Got him lined up exactly where he wants him. And poof, hidden blade off the apron. Referee didn't take a full bump, but he got it in. Now he's selling the arm. Be nice if Danielson were to sell the back of the neck, but either way, the damage was still done. And you see that right there? Ospreay goes to try and get Danielson up. Obviously, they said something here. That's why he stopped. And then immediately calls to get the go check on him. But the ref is counting. So I'm not sure if that part was actually planned or predetermined, or if that was just Danielson taking a break, letting everything sell. Ref is still counting. Going for the 10 count. There's 8, I believe. 9. Breaks the count. Here comes Ospreay immediately. Ref being smart. Oh shit, let me get the fuck out of the way. And drop kick. Right into another bomb. 1, 2. Big kick out. Great hope spot. Ospreay at this point is like, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck? That is how matches are planned out. A lot of this is pacing and piecing little bits and pieces together to make it make sense. Ospreay now has exactly where he wants him. Boom. He kicked him right in the shoulder. Grazed him a little bit. He didn't even hit him here. Hit him right in the shoulder. Bang. Here comes the back kick. Bang. He's at least, I want to say, like this far away from him. But Danielson is so quick with the sell to make it look like he's getting drilled. Ospreay immediately, as he's doing his own taunt, he shakes off his hand, selling. Goes for the springboard, os cutter. Nope. Right into the armbar. But he rolls right over. Now he wants that label lock. Ospreay rolls through. Pin. 1, 2. Oh. Flips over. Danielson right into a guillotine. Ospreay showing off that strength. Up. Fight out. Here we go. Tilt-a-whirl. Flay. Just flay. Flatten out. So, guillotine. Here comes the popping of the hips. Nice little squat by Ospreay. Enough to muscle him over the top. Lands on his feet. Tilt-a-whirl. Lay out. Poof. And here comes the label lock. Good selling. Good hold. Good placement on everything. Bryan Danielson is easily one of the greatest technicians of all time. All time. This is just good selling, good fight. They're still kind of catching their breath while this is going on. Ospreay fighting towards the ropes. And as he's about to reach, Danielson immediately grabs it and wrenches over. He's not actually wrenching, but it makes it look like he is. This is just good hand placement. You see how his hands are? Just holding. He's not even wrenching. He's just holding. He'll wrench a little bit. But if he needs to ease up, that's what the other hand is for. That's what the Iggy's for. And this is where Ospreay about to reach for the ropes. There he goes. Beautifully done. It's watching wrestling from a different point of view. You watch it from how it's pieced together, how it's executed. Now, just another stalemate leading to the next big spot. If you guys are enjoying this, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, and if you have a match that you want to have me do specifically, throw it down in the comments. I will do it. I absolutely will do it. Even if it's a fantastic 5-star classic, if it's a 1-star botch fest, I'll do it. It'll be fun. Then here come the yes kicks. We've seen this time and time and time again. Some of those kicks are placed perfectly. Some of them kind of suck. That was a great placement. Ospreay doing a phenomenal sell. Danielson gets the crowd hyped because he now wants the Busaiku knee. And as he's going for it, gets caught. Powerbomb position. Starts to elbow out. But look at where he is now. Up. And nice little Hurricane Rana West Coast pop. 1, 2, kick. That was close. I will say that was close. Anytime you're in a pinning predicament, this is just a very nice take. Nice execution. 1, 2. The person who is getting pinned should be watching the referee. Because you can't just go off of what you hear. You need to be watching the ref's hand. 1, 2. And as he's going down, I guess, yeah, he technically did at the nick of time. The ref did a good job at pulling right at the last second. But that looked very, very close. Both men up. Nice little burst of energy. Good hook. Break. Roll through. Pin. 1, 2. Roll back. 1, 2. Right into waist lock. Comes the float over. Land on the feet. Here it comes. Miss. Big Busaiku knee. Bang. Great take by Ospreay. Great placement. This is fun sequences. Absolutely fun sequences. You're watching a masterclass here. Boom. Break. Roll through. 1, 2. Kick. Roll through. 1, 2. Kick. Waist lock. Flip over. Go for the hidden. Miss. Busaiku. 1, 2. Kick. Good placement. And great take by Ospreay. This is being able to control your way. Ospreay does his best to try and almost like do a flip bump with it, but he misses. Immediately gets back to the middle. Bang. And look how he lands. Lands a little high, but that's all in the traps. That's why you see guys like him have big traps so that they can do those kind of bumps. 1, 2, out. And the crowd is just going absolutely batshit crazy right now. They are living this shit up. We're about almost a half an hour into this matchup. Miss. Once again, Busaiku. It looks killer in real time. But when you slow things down and you see how things are positioned and placed, it's very safe and at the same time very killer. Danielson really starting to show that frustration on his face. Getting a chance to breathe. Talking his shit. Grabs the arms. Here comes the patent stomps. Now, when you watch this, it looks like he's getting smoked, right? He jumps up. And once again, the meat and potatoes of where you get hit means the most. You're always getting hit in the meat of the neck or at least in the top of the shoulders. Bang. It's again, bang. Ospreay doing a good job on the sell. Bang. Bang. Danielson just has his eyes on the target. And this is all he's doing. He's just pounding away. Goes right back for the label lock. Ospreay fighting out as best as he can because he doesn't want to deal with it. Danielson locks in. Arm. Doing his best to control that wrist. You see, it looks like his arm is getting wrenched back. No, it's in that nice, safe pocket. It's just so that he can't move it. This is where Danielson, being gritty, yanking from the mouth. Kind of disgusting. I don't want any wrestlers sticking their hands in my mouth. Ospreay now firing back. Here comes Danielson again. Trying to keep that lock in. Ospreay doing his best to fight out of it. This is what makes shit like this look real. And Danielson doing a great job on the active selling. So we're here. Second time around. Boom. Right back. Now watch. See how Danielson, I know it's kind of hard from this angle, but he has his hands up still. And now watch as they keep coming down. Now his hands are down. Active selling. That's what this is. Ospreay is so winded, though, he can't really do much of anything. Oh, right into the triangle. He has one shoulder up, so it's not a pin. Ospreay gets slowly to his feet. Both men are probably drained at this point, but extreme conditioning is key. He tries to break it, but Danielson keeps that grip. Elbows. Or at least that's what they're portraying on television, that he's getting drilled with the elbow. It's actually the meat of the forearm. Pounding away. Now he's taunting for whatever reason. Ospreay immediately pops up. One-armed Styles Clash. Gonna flip him over, I believe. But they're so beat, he can't actually do it. That's the active selling of that sequence. It was slow, but it was done properly because now he can't capitalize. Both men are just trying to catch their breath at this point. I mean, when you're going 30 minutes, it's very hard to, be at that peak position. But at this point, this is just pure grit and pure adrenaline. That's all that's in their system right now. Get to their next spot, head to head. When I saw this for the first time, I genuinely thought those fucking sucked. Just hitting each other's head. Obviously, they're trying to be as safe as possible, but there's no good way that shit feels good. Right back to some booyahs. Nice and simple. See how Will, anytime that he is throwing a strike with his right, he immediately is back on the cell of the arm. And then he starts throwing lefts. Oh, there's the headbutts. Gets him up. Right back to the kicks. Bang. Big fucking slap. Bang. Another big fucking slap. Now it's just open palm strikes. Ospreay, great sell. Nice hook. Here we go for the ride. Boom. Ospreay no sells it. Hidden blade. Now, I know how some people feel about the no sells. I am an advocate of being smart on the no sell. Like right here, boom. If you're going to at least go from 0 to hero, at least have one arm here. Here we go. And then do the hidden blade. Not just the, oh my God, here we go. Bang. Then he's immediately up. You see that? That I thought would have been a better spot if it would have been eats the exploder, one arm, here we go, hidden blade, and now we're back down just for a brief second and then eventually slowly get right back up because now you got a little bit of time to get from point A to point B. Here's the Os Cutter, Busaiku knee in midair. Obviously, if you're Danielson in this scenario, you need to have enough room because you need to have momentum running for to do and deliver your knee. But you're Ospreay, so you're running at, kind of the same pace as you're flying back. He is doing a good job at keeping himself open, but because of the move, the Os Cutter itself, it's kind of hard to have a legitimate target, and that's why you're going to see Danielson kind of spin out here. So they collide, and he immediately spins. It looked absolutely killer, but anytime you're taking any sort of running move, or vice versa, you need to give the person running at you a lane, and they need to give you a lane in order to bump properly. In this scenario, there's not really a good way to do that. Because he's using his right knee, he's aiming for that left shoulder, but because the law of physics, eat like that, you're going to immediately turn. So that's why that looked the way it did. But right back to a down spot. Crowd is just in awe at this point. Both men are fucking spent. Both men had busted their ass. Yeah, literally. But no, like I said, this match is easily by far one of my favorite matches of all time. It's at least top 10 for me. Hell, I would even throw it top 5. I would say top 5 for sure. But yeah, like I said, that was, when you watch it in real time, it looks like he gets drilled in the face. Right? But then, this time we're going to do it slow motion. Here. And that's because he actually does get hit in the face. I don't know why that happened. Obviously, mistakes will happen. But yeah, he gets absolutely clocked. And he is just, at this point, you're taking your time to sell it. And then this is the big moment that everybody remembers. Or at least it's leading to it. On for the Busaiku one more time. Both men are spent. Both men selling their dicks off. Then Ospreay immediately gets back to a corner, and now he's up. This is the spot that everybody remembers. This is the moment. If you don't remember much from this match, this is the moment you remember. Both men calling for it. Staring daggers at each other. Danielson now in shock. And they are both just feeding off of pure anger, and adrenaline. Here we go. Who's going to hit it first? Ospreay gets it. Beautiful placement. And here we go. Hooks up. Tiger driver. People say that move sucks. It does. I've never taken it, but I mean, you watch that shit in real time, right? You can't tell me there's a real, true, safe way to take this. This is probably the safest way you can take a move like this. And that shit still hurts. So he's up. And now just watch the bump. He is straight up in the air. But he does a good job of at least trying to absorb and stretch out his arms to spread out that impact as he lands pretty much on his upper back, all wrap and lat areas. Down. Immediately, great sell of the neck. And that's, I mean, I'm sure that actually did some damage to the neck. Because the ref, obviously, unless this was talked about prior to, but there's no way. Doctors right there just in case. Hidden blade, 1, 2, 3. Yep, and then the doctor's immediately in there. So obviously, that really did hurt his neck. But that is as safe as a bump as you can possibly take. And your winner, none other than the aerial assassin, Will Ospreay. Here comes all the doctors to check in on Danielson to really make sure he's hurt. I haven't seen a true X sign. I don't know if you guys saw one or not. Obviously, the camera is probably not going to do the best job at trying to show it. Probably just going to stay on Will at this point. And that's exactly what they do. But yeah, that is Film Study Episode 1. I hope you guys genuinely enjoyed it. Like I said, if you guys have match recommendations that you guys want me to break down, throw them in the comments. If you enjoyed, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I do a weekly wrestling podcast every single Wednesday, and I would like to incorporate this a little bit more into the routine of the week. So, like I said, you guys have options and you guys have recommendations, throw them in the comments. I will for sure do them, and I will shout you out before the video even starts. And without anything else, I just want to say thank you guys, and we'll see you guys all next time. Peace out.
Summon the Spectre.